Oh, hello. Hi. How you doing, guys? I know it's been a long time since I put anything up on this channel. And not a long time in the sense that it used to be where I would kind of disappear for a little bit and then come back and make a video. I know that I just vanished off the face of the earth. Unless you follow me on Instagram, at which point you know that I have been going to the gym a lot, and that's it really. So I wanted to give you guys an explanation of where I went. I thought that I owed anyone who had ever subscribed to me an explanation of where I went, of what happened, and I could maybe, I'm not gonna be so weird and arrogant as to say help anybody, but I do think this is an important thing. It would have been vitally important for me to know this stuff in my own life. And I'd kind of like to share my story of what happened to me, why I stopped taking pictures, and why I hope to get back into it soon. So I'm not gonna edit this. It may be a little, I literally have my phone sitting on top of a pile of board games right now in the kitchen. So if it's a little crooked or whatever, I apologize. It's not my intention. But more than 4 years ago at this point, I was experiencing some blurriness in my vision. And I had something similar in the past, and it turned out that it was just I'd been wearing my contacts for too long, and I had scratches on the lenses of my eyes. And I sort of assumed it was something like that. So I was working from home at the time. I think I was working a hybrid position actually at the time, and I was working from home that day. And I made an appointment at the eye doctor and ran in to get a prescription to get some glasses so I could stop wearing my contacts for a little bit and see if that sort of remedied the problem with my eyes. So I went in and I was going through sort of the eye exam. And I've worn glasses since I was in 3rd grade. So literally at that point, I had been going to the eye doctor at least once a year for like 30 years of my life. I have extremely bad vision. I'm extremely nearsighted, and I have astigmatism. So it's just something that I've dealt with my whole life. So I went in for the exam, and when we got to the part of the exam where they do the little puffer in your eyes, the assistant guy paused, and he got like a kind of a perplexed look on his face, and he said, "Have your pressure's always been this high?" And I was like, I had no idea. I was like, I don't know, probably not, I'm not sure. And I was sort of anxious to get out of there because I had stuff I had to do. And he said, "All right, well, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna go through it again, and we're gonna just take a look at it." So I said, okay. And he did the puffer again. He looked at the results. He looked very concerned. He said, "Hang on, I'm gonna go get the doctor." And he ran in to go get the doctor. And so the doctor comes in, the eye doctor, and he said, "We're gonna take another look at this." And he went through a series of things. I don't really specifically know what he did. I think in retrospect, I can guess at what was done, but at the time I didn't know. I imagine they were looking at my retina, the back of my eyes, my retinas, and testing my pressures more precisely. And he put the thing away, and he said, "You have glaucoma." And I remember from that point on, almost everything like it was yesterday. He said, "You have glaucoma." And I said, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Yes, almost certainly sure." He said, "Let me be crystal clear with you. If we do not treat this now and aggressively, you will go blind." And I didn't know what to say. I was like blindsided, right? Completely blindsided. So he gave me some drops to put in my eyes, and I went home, put the drops in my eyes, and they scheduled an appointment for a couple of days down the line when I went in and did a visual field test. And a visual field test is, basically the long and short of it is you look in a little screen and you click a button every time they flash a light. They cover one eye and you do a one per eye, and you click a button every time the light flashes, and it tests to find where the blind spot in your visual field is. So I did that. The guy comes in, the doctor comes back in, and he goes, yeah, you definitely have some vision loss in that right eye, like a pretty decent amount of vision loss. And I remembered exactly, I said, what about the left eye? And he said, clear. I just remember that because it was just a weird response. He said, clear. And I was like, okay. And the weirdest thing about the whole thing, right? I was like crestfallen, I was crushed, right? Because it's permanent. If you're not familiar with sort of the mechanism behind glaucoma, essentially there's a lot of different ways you can arrive at this end. It can come from age, it can come from congenital causes. In my case, it's just genetics. It's like risk factors of glaucoma are being over 40, being overweight, being African American, being a smoker. And I was like, no, okay, cool, sometimes you just get lucky. But basically, whatever happens, pressure builds up in your eye. In mine, it's because the fluid doesn't properly drain out of the back. There's a meshwork in your eye that drains fluid out. It doesn't properly drain out. Pressure builds up in your eye. That pressure crushes the nerve cells that connect your brain to your eye, the retina. And as those are crushed, they die off and the vision is permanently severed. So if you imagine like the cable running from a camera to a computer or whatever, and you're recording directly to that computer, if that cable gets cut, there's no longer a connection, you can no longer see. And that's sort of the gist of it. The wildest memory I have from that night is I went home and I looked in the mirror, and we were renting this place in Raleigh, and we had this big mirror in the bathroom that covered the entire wall. It was this big pretty large bathroom, and it covered the whole wall. And I closed my left eye and moved my hand in front of my face in the mirror, and as it passed over what I had not realized was missing vision, it just disappeared. And you sort of, until you start to lose your vision, you don't necessarily understand the amount of heavy lifting your brain is always doing to fill those patches in. Like, everybody has a blind spot in their vision, and you can find it. Like, I know you can find it in a similar way to what I just described, but everybody has a blind spot, and your brain is always filling it in. There are people who lose huge amounts of vision where they will like hallucinate like street signs and dogs and just stuff, because your brain just puts stuff there. So like you'll see like images of glaucoma online, and it'll be like black spots, but it's not black spots. It's more like if you can actually make yourself aware. So when you're not paying attention, you just don't notice it. And when you make yourself aware of it, it's more like if you know like the Gaussian blur tool, it's more like that, because your brain is kind of estimating what should go there, and it's using the surrounding information to sort of to fill it in, and it's crazy, and that's how you can go blind without knowing it. But I ended up getting extremely depressed. They put me on eye drops that I was allergic to, so I ended up looking like I had pink eye. It was really gross. And a guy made a comment at a bar in downtown Raleigh. It was just a really bad part of my life. I was really low. Not to mention I'm right eye dominant, so like photography wasn't even on my mind, much less taking photos looking through my right eye, right? Like, it was this kind of constant reminder of what I had permanently lost and what I might lose entirely. Because at that point, I didn't know, if I was going to be able to slow it down, if I was going to go blind, when I would go blind, but I guess, long story short, this is kind of jumping ahead quite a bit. I have been going to a very high-end facility. I don't know, what do you call it? Medical place? It's not very eloquent, but yeah, so I've been going to a good doctor, and it hasn't progressed in any meaningful way since diagnosis, because I like literally never miss a drop. I never miss a doctor's appointment. I go every few months to get checked. They run different tests. They make sure everything's stable. If it ever starts to advance, and it most likely will at some point start to advance again, then we'll find a new way to try and tackle it. And I'm just sort of trying to kick the can down the road until medical science makes some sort of breakthrough and we can regenerate nerve cells or whatever. That's kind of where I'm at. But I stopped taking photos almost entirely. Stopped doing much of anything, but you know, and you read stuff online. Like Reddit is the worst, right? So you go on Reddit and people are like, oh, you can't lift weights. You need to buy a special pillow. Don't sleep on your side. Don't drink coffee. And it's like I'm just gonna throw myself off a bridge at that point, because what is the point? If I can't live, who gives a shit, right? Like, pardon my language. It's just like, so I talked with my doctor. I talked to 2 doctors, and they're both like, yeah, lift. If it seems like it's causing trouble, we'll reevaluate. But I've been lifting. I do deadlifts, I do squats, I lift heavy weights, and I haven't had any trouble yet. So, God willing, it just continues. But I've recently started taking photos again. Let me grab the 645. So I just put a roll through this. I still have most of my I don't, but I still have most of my, they call it fixation, the central vision. And in my right eye, it's dangerous because my vision loss is actually pretty close to fixation, where you focus, but I still have most of my central vision there, almost all of it, and I can see, so I still can take pictures. It just sucks. And now that I'm kind of over the misery and the feeling sorry for myself that I was going through, I've been taking some pictures again. I've gotten into shooting, which is a strange thing, but I really enjoy it, like target shooting. And during quarantine, I started keeping reef tanks. So since then, I mean, honestly, what I would say is I would love to make more videos in the future. It's something that I would like to try and do. I'm trying to get back into taking pictures. I'd love to shoot some 4x5. But I'm doing well, all things considered. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to get in and get your eyes checked. Get those little pressures, tested. My cat's here. I've got my two cats now. Unfortunately, my sweet boy Alistair passed away, who used to be in all my videos, but we adopted 2 new ones. We bought a house. I've got fish tanks. Could be worse, right? So yeah, that's where I was at. A couple of other things. I'd love to do a live stream if anyone would ever show up and just say hi and chat with people, and you can kind of let me know what you're doing. If that's something you'd be interested in, let me know. I'm going to relist a bunch of I delisted all my videos. I was feeling crappy. But I'm going to go through and relist the ones that I think are pretty decent. I think there are some that aren't garbage, so I'll relist those. And yeah, that's all. That's where I went. I had been wanting to make this video for it's almost since I got diagnosed. And I remember initially I was going to put something up, and my wife was like, don't. Not right now. Not in the state you're in. And I was like, okay. And I didn't. And I'm glad I didn't. But now I'm in a pretty decent state, so. Anyway, love y'all. If there's some reason you're still watching the channel and you're around, I appreciate you. You're the best. I will make a video when I get this roll and another roll developed. I have another roll waiting at the store, and I will, I don't know, I'll just make a video and go through the pictures, and we can talk about them, and maybe, or maybe I could even do it as a live stream. I don't know. We'll figure something out. My next video, I'll actually use a real camera and a microphone. This was just sort of an impromptu thing. I just wanted to get something out there. Saltwater Aquarium sending me emails, so. All right, guys. Love y'all. Stay safe.